Heyo everyone, Zian over here from Nintendo Life, and today we're going to be checking out Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olivetown on the Nintendo Switch. Now I've put about 25 hours into this game so far, but we found quite a few new and interesting features about this game that didn't make it into previous entries in the Story of Seasons series. So today we're going to be taking a look at my farm and my town, what I've done with 25 hours in the game, and we're going to be showing off 7 new features of Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olivetown. And before we begin, we'd like to give a big thanks to Marvelous for sponsoring this video. So without further ado, let's go pick some crops on the farm, milk some cows, and see what else my farm has to offer. So if you're not already aware, Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olivetown is a farming simulator, I suppose you could call it. It's much more than that. It's much more about, making friends with the villagers, taking care of your animals. Growing crops is a big deal as well, but it's kind of all about just like having fun with the life of being a farmer, existing in that environment. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look and see. Like I said, I have 25 hours into the game so far, and my farm it's not the best it could be yet, I still have lots of things that I would like to do to it, but I have I've got my crops all hanging out over here for the most part. I've got a lemon tree here. I love lemons. Let's go ahead, and I haven't even harvested those yet. But as you can see, my farm is kind of a mess here. There's trees growing in like places that they shouldn't be. There's water puddles. Like what are those, right? And there's grass and stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and clean this up a little bit. So I can use my sickle here to cut the grass. I can actually charge it as well. Like if there was grass in like bigger areas that I could cut down more at once. And yeah, let's get rid of that over here too. And then, so one of the new features for this game is actually an iron bucket, it's not just an iron bucket. There's tons of different kinds of buckets, but my bucket is upgraded. And so what you can actually do is you can use this to scoop up these water puddles. You actually get clay from them, and you can go ahead and use that clay to make bricks, and you can use bricks to make tons of different things in this game. And one thing, if you've played like past Story of Seasons games or Bokujo Monogatari, which I believe is how the series is pronounced in Japan. But there's actually a pretty hefty crafting system in this game. And so you can actually, you don't even need to be at like a crafting table or anything like that. You can just craft things from this menu. And as long as you have the necessary resources in your inventory, then you can create whatever is here. So yeah, so we have the bucket, right? And we can use that to scoop up water puddles on the ground. And there's also, yeah, I have like a little flower grove here. I don't know, flower patch. That's the term I was looking for. Do you like my grass cow too? Look at that squirrel too. Okay, so this is a perfect time. This is great. So you'll also notice there's a camera tool. And if we open that up, we can actually go in first person mode, which is super neat. And so we're gonna go and see if we can get a good shot of this squirrel over here. I don't wanna get too close. And we can zoom in. I don't want squirrel butt. I just want regular squirrel face in the puddle. Oh no, that might be all I get. And so then, yeah, so basically you can take photos in first person like this, and you can actually, you can walk around your town or your farm, that you can walk around the town portions as well. And it's just kind of like a neat way to explore your farm and see it from like a different angle. I really like it a lot. I don't think the idea is necessarily to walk around and explore with this camera, but it's always neat to just see a game, from an angle that it necessarily wasn't meant to be seen from. And I kind of like this camera specifically for that. But yeah, so the other cool thing you can do with the camera is you can actually take photos of animals. And then there's a museum in the game now that you can actually take those photos and donate them to the museum. And then they basically compile all of the different animals that you found in the game in like a special exhibit. And so, yeah, I think I've taken photos of the white butterfly already here, but we'll take one just in case. And we'll lay it over the top of, yeah, we'll get rid of my magma crab. But so another thing that we can actually do with the bucket is you can see these like little ponds here almost, I guess. I mean, it's not really a pond, but it's a patch of water, I guess. So you can actually scoop these up with the bucket. And if you have a lower grade bucket like I do, like I don't have a silver or a gold or anything yet, it will go faster, I believe. But when you get to the bottom of this, there's treasure on the bottom. And you can take that, you can see we got 2 heavy objects and a time-worn object. We can actually take those to the museum and we can have them appraised. And we might get special treasure that we can then donate to the museum as well. We might get, you know, like a log or some different resources that we can use to make different items in the game or upgrade things. It's kind of just like another thing to do. And that's one thing that I really like about this game a lot, is that it always feels like there's something to do. I have this whole other section of my farm that I unlocked that I haven't really done much with yet, because I'm trying to kind of maximize the area that's close to my house first, and I feel like I've kind of capped this out. And so now I'm slowly starting to get into this area. And there's tons of different, as you unlock new areas as well of your farm, you'll find different resources that you can harvest. So like here, this is some sugarcane. I think this is a melon right here. And yeah, and so like then this little flower here too, you only find some of these things in certain parts of your farm as well. So as you explore and unlock more parts of your farm, you're gonna find more resources that you can use for different things in the game. And then actually here's a beetle too. I don't know if I've taken a picture of this before too. I've taken a picture of a few, but we'll go ahead and get this one too, just to find out. Let's put that, I don't wanna overwrite my fox. We'll overwrite this squirrel photo. And then yeah, if you get too close to them, they fly away as well. So you kind of have to be sneaky when you find a new bug or something that you haven't found before. So another thing that I really like is once you upgrade your tools far enough, you actually, some of them will expand the radius that they function in. And that's been a feature that's kind of been in some of the series before, but it feels so good to be able to like watch this. See all these trees right here? Actually, let's, yeah, we'll go right here. Just one swing and they're just down. It's crazy. Yeah, same with my hammer as well. That should take down quite a few here too. Yep. And that's such like a quick way to just farm resources. It's so nice. Oh, and that little thing that just popped out, did you see that? It was kind of like a little round like pink ball. That was a Sprite. And we'll talk more about those in a little bit here as well. So another thing, you know that little pond that I found that I scooped all that water out of? If I wanted, instead of, you know, using an iron bucket, because this takes, I mean, it doesn't take forever, but it can be time consuming. You can actually use these water pumps here as well, which, so you see this giant pond here? I could actually use the iron bucket on this if I wanted, but it would take forever. So instead of doing that, you can actually get these water pumps that you can feed, you can keep them powering with coal, and so it'll actually keep pumping the water out as long as there's enough coal. And then basically when you get down to the bottom of this, there's just way more treasure than you would find in a normal little pond of water. So that's a pretty cool thing too. And it's, yeah, like I said, there's just so many things to keep you busy in this game. Yeah, there's some flowers up there. And so like, oh, that's a bird. I've never seen that one yet. I'm gonna go get a picture of that quick. Stealth capture this bird. There it is. I got you, bluebird. Done deal. Not the best photo, but that is definitely a new one. So we're just gonna throw that. I've already taken a picture of a squirrel. I've handed one of those in already, so. But yep, let's see if I get too close now. Yep, it flies away, so you really have to be careful. Oh yeah, so my bag's full right now, which actually, so another cool thing I could show off is this new tool bag. So obviously, you're always going to want to have tons of tools in your inventory, and because you never know when you're going to need them, but you have this separate tool bag that you can actually take all of your tools and just throw them in. So like, you know, I'm not going to use my leash right now to take my dog on a walk, so I can just pop that back in there. We've already used the camera enough. The bucket I'm probably not going to use right now. So now I can put those in there, and that frees up my inventory just kind of like last minute if I need some other things. And it seems like such a kind of a strange feature, like why would you need a tool bag like that? But let's say that you're in a mine and you find some cool gems, or you know, like this, and you don't want to make a trip back and forth. You can quick put some tools away, you free up some space, and you can get the items that you wanted to grab. So I'm not gonna have enough room for that, no, but that's okay. I'll just leave that for now. Oh shoot, there was an owl! I've never seen that before either. That's cool. I'm gonna free up my bags a little bit, throw some things in my storage here, which is pretty much maxed out. But the cool thing is that actually items now too, you can store up to, I believe it's like 999 of an item. So yeah, like I have 601 stone right now and 526 clay. You don't have to worry about it like capping out at like 30 or 100 or 10 or something like that, you know, in your inventory. If it has a slot, it has a really high ceiling, so you don't have to worry about that. What time is it in the game? 9 o'clock? Okay. So I'm gonna farm some stuff quick before it gets too late, so that way these can keep growing. So another thing you'll notice is I have actually sprinklers here set up all over my farm as well. So that way I don't really actually have to water things very often. But I have this little patch over here just because it's kind of fun still to use the watering can, which sounds really lame. But I didn't want to automate everything necessarily, because it is super nice to like not have to worry about farming your crops. But yeah, I just wanted to have like a tiny bit still be old-fashioned. Now the sprinklers have been in the series before. I don't think they have been around since like the Game Boy or the Super Nintendo though. And so this is actually another returning feature as well, and it's so handy to have these around. Like my watering can I think water up to like 9 different spots. Oh, 6 right now, which is still great, but it takes time, it takes energy, you have to refill the watering can. All right, let's go cash in. So the cool thing too is when you're on the shipping screen here as well, which is where basically this is how you make money. If you want to sell any of your goods or any of the resources that you find while you're out foraging, you can basically just dump them into the shipping bin, and then at the end of the day, you make money. In some of the past games, usually like the shipping bin would cut off at like 6 p.m. But in this game, it cuts off just right when you basically go to sleep and you go into the next day. So you have tons of time. You don't have to worry about like rushing back to throw all your stuff in the bin. And the thing I like though is that it actually shows you how much each item will net you on the bottom down there. So you can see I have 40 wheat on me. Each of them will get me 122 money. Yeah, so now I'm making $21,000 this just on today alone. That's bonkers. Like I already have a lot of money right now, but that's very good. Yeah, so 2 a.m. is the cutoff for the game. So if you're not in bed by 2 a.m., your character just passes out, falls asleep, and you wake up at 10 a.m. instead of normally waking up at 6. So you want to be careful about that as well. All right, so we're starting a new day now. This is the 25th of summer. So now I kind of want to show you a little bit more about some of the tools. I want to show you the museum as well, but we have to wait for that to open. So yeah, so we're gonna kill some time and take a look at some tools first. Oh, nice, and it's not raining either, so we can actually bring out some animals. Some of my animals. So one really cool thing, if you noticed in here, is in my tool bag. You have, your standard, you have an axe, a sickle, a hammer, you have the bucket now, the fishing rod, the hoe, the watering can, the camera, and the leash. Those are the only tools you have in the game. So now when you actually need to like shear a sheep like this, you actually just hit the A button and your character has shears that they pull out and you use instantly. So you don't even have to worry about carrying extra items on you or extra tools or anything like that specifically for a one-time use in a day. Obviously, if you have tons of sheep, you're going to be using it more than once, but it doesn't pay for me to have like, shears and all that stuff in my inventory that often. Same with like having a milker, for the for cows as well. Like that would just take up another item slot too. And so now you don't even have to worry about it. You just have it all the time. The other thing I forgot to mention too with crafting is let's say I want to make a ton of fences right now, or if I want to make 10 of these giant bear carvings, which I'm never going to want to do. But the fences is more appropriate. If you want to make like 3, 4, 10, 20, 50 of them, you can just make them all at once. And so I don't need these right now, but I'll make them just to show you. It goes that quick. So you don't have to worry about like crafting each of them individually, which some of us simulator relaxing game fans know that crafting items one at a time can get really irritating. And so it's really nice that you don't have to do them separately like that. So now the last Story of Seasons game came out the last new Story of Seasons game came out in 2017, which was Trio of Towns on the 3DS. And then they did actually go back and remake Friends of Mineral Town from the Game Boy Advance. That got remade on the Switch last year or the year before, and that was a Story of Seasons game as well. But that game was a very traditional remake. It didn't implement as many new features as this game is. So Trio of Towns came up with a new thing called Makers. where you basically have these devices that you can like plant around your town, and then you can create, you can take like some of the things that you find, like different resources, and you can turn them into new things. So I don't know if I have anything on me right now. Okay, so this is a good example. So I have a dye maker here, so I can take flowers, I can pop those in, yellow flowers, and after I think about 2 in-game hours, I think it's set on screen, I just didn't read it, it'll actually produce dye that I can then use to customize different things in my town. So I actually have this as well that I'm putting tough grass into, and it is making, in the end, it makes tough thread, which then I can take that thread and I can turn that into, I think this is like a tough, oh yeah, right here, a tough cloth, which I can then use for other things. So you have all these different makers that you can use to make stuff, and there's way more than there were in Story of Seasons Trio of Towns. It gives you a lot of creative freedom to kind of like make whatever you want in the game, which is really cool. I actually don't have any ore on me right now, and that's what all of these are for, is for taking like iron and steel and turning it into like materials that I can actually use for upgrading things. So we'll go into the mine in a little bit too, but for now I want to go take a look at the museum because it's almost noon and that should be open now. And I also want to get rid of this bush here because that doesn't belong. Same with this one. Get it out of here. I love walking around town with like an axe, like going to go pet my little pup Koji, and being like, don't worry, the axe is just for the trees. It's not for you. But it kind of looks like I'm in like a slasher film or something walking around with this, and like the overalls on and everything. It's great. Oh, so yeah, another thing you can do as well, which this isn't new. I believe you can do this in Trio of Towns as well, but you can take the leash that we have, and we can go ahead and take your dog. Oops, I ate some milk. We can take the dog out on a walk. And wow, look at me. Look at me. Just turning into the monster that I didn't want to become. So yeah, we can actually take the dog on a walk, and we can go into town and it'll run around with us. And yeah, it's really nice. And taking your pet on a walk, because you can have cats, you can have dogs, I think there might even be a couple more animals you can get as pets, I'm not too sure. But taking them on walks actually raises their friendship level as well. Obviously you can pet them every day to make them happier, but that's just another extra thing that you can do. And then during the spring, I think it is, there's also there's a dog race basically that you can enter or there's a pet race that you can enter your pet in. And basically the happier it is, the better it's going to do in the race. So here I'm going to talk to Rena, I'm assuming her name is. You can actually give the items that you find when you're like in the mine, or that we found out of the puddles. You can actually take those and you can get those appraised. And so yeah, like I said, we can either get some treasure or just some resources to use on the farm. So let's see, so this ambergris, I think I've had that before. Oh yeah, this is weird too. It says a treasure that was made in the stomach of a whale. I like how it calls it a treasure, but it's really like, it's something that you don't want to really touch with human hands. But here we are. Yeah, so that time it was just lumber. But yeah, so there, and I don't know if you noticed too, but there's different treasure objects that you can appraise. There's time-worn objects, and then there's heavy objects. And I think the heavy ones are more likely to be something more special. I'm not too sure, but it seems like I've gotten some cool stuff from heavy objects in comparison to the time-worn ones. And then Gloria here, she's who you donate your photos to get animals put into the museum, or fish, because you can go fishing in this game, just like you can in every other one in the past series. And so yeah, so you can donate treasure. And yeah, it looks like I don't have anything special to donate right now, but we should be able to donate some photos. So okay, so I've already donated the white butterfly, the rhinoceros beetle, yep, but the bluebird, that's new. So then what you can actually do with that is you actually get to go into the museum here, and you get to pick a spot for it. So you place the photo in a place, and then the next day it will actually turn into whatever animal it was that you just donated a photo of. And it's always nice to go talk to people when you go on like little errands like this as well, just to kind of raise their happiness. And yeah, so they're talking about the fireworks, because there was just a fireworks festival yesterday or 2 days ago. It was like pretty much right before we started playing for this sort of video. The other cool thing too is if you use the right analog stick here, you can actually adjust the camera, which I don't think that was a feature in other Story of Seasons games, but I really like it as well, because it's kind of fun to mess with when you're running around or catch a different angle. Yeah, and in town too here, there's plenty of different shops. Like this is the general stores where you can buy seeds from. This is the place where you can get the Hoof House Animal Shop. This is where you can get more pets. You can get cows and chickens and alpacas and sheep from there. You can upgrade your house and like get different furniture and things there. This is where you upgrade tools. I wish I had some iron on me or something like that. I only have one, and otherwise I would try and upgrade some more tools here. Yeah, and then here's actually, this is a salon where you can go in and buy new clothes and change your hairstyle and your face and things like that if you want. And then there's also this house, or this extra edition here. I'm not too sure what that is, but basically there's a bulletin board where you can donate materials to the town, and then they'll use those materials to make upgrades to it. So they might like change up the pavement in town, or like I think the museum upgraded at one point, and then the salon was also one of the things that that I gained from upgrading the town. Now I actually came back home because I want to make up some food quick, because I actually want to head down to the mine, and it'll be good to have some food so that way we can go ahead and smash up as many rocks as we want. So let's go ahead and make gazpacho. That reminds me of the show Chowder. So yeah, let's make that. And so the cool thing is you can actually, you can just pop items right out of your fridge as well. And see how this is titled Fridge 1? I'm assuming as you upgrade your home, you're able to get a bigger fridge, or maybe more fridges, or maybe you can just buy more. I'm not too sure, but and so that's going to take 30 minutes to make. So I'll just make that, and that'll probably be good enough. That'll probably bring me back a little bit. Well, you know what? Forget it. We're going down. We're going to be serious, right? Let's make some shellfish soup. Make some of that too. And then so now I'm going to go ahead, since we're going into the mine, I'm going to take a bunch of this stuff and dump it back in the tool bag, because I won't need that in the mine at all, right? And we can head off to the mine. Let's hop on the horse too. Take a little ride over there, even though it's legitimately right here. Oh, I did name it Epona as well. I'm so glad. So glad. All right, so the cool thing about the mine is the further you go down, the more rare the ingredients are. Oh, here's the mole. Darn it! Did I say ingredients? I meant like rocks and materials. Oh, yeah, you got to be careful too, because the mole can hurt you if you're not careful. Oh, he just gave me clay that time. That's all right. Sometimes a ladder will just be like out in the open that you can find it and you can head straight down. But sometimes it will be hidden under a rock. And if you notice, there's rocks like lining the walls, and sometimes there's ones like out in the middle. It seems like the ladder will only be in the ones that are in the middle. So you don't have to worry about like any of the rocks on the outside if you don't want to go down there. Oh, and so look, I have my hammer upgraded, and so it just crushed all of those in one go. It was great. So, and I can hit the mole the same way, which is really nice. And there's a time-worn object. Cool. So that's good. You'll also be able to find these like spots on the wall here as well that you can hit to get like rare mines, or rare minerals. And you can find these little spots on the ground too that will just feed you nice resources too that you can hit with your hoe. It's really cool. Sometimes when I'm mining, I like don't even worry about like this many rocks, but I'm really low on a lot of my resources right now. So I'm going to take advantage of everything that we can get right now. Wow, this is like, we're getting a lot of really good stuff so early on already. Like we're on the 4th floor and we've already had 2 of these like special rock walls. That's really cool. Yeah, and so it looks like I just got a glass rock from that. And yeah, some silver ore, which like silver ore is great to have. I haven't really started using these raw berries yet, or the red rubies. But yeah, I just like haven't had any tools that need them yet, or any upgrades or anything that need them. But I've been starting to collect them for the chance that I will need them down the road, because that will definitely happen. And the whole reason I wanted to show you off mining as well is because mining in Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town is very similar to this, but that's just because it's a remake of Friends of Mineral Town, and this is how mining was in that game as well. But in Trio of Towns, they kind of changed up the mining to make it more like there was basically a node that you would go and you would hit with a hammer, and you could basically just farm that that like central point. You didn't actually dig down into mines like this, like you did in traditional Story of Seasons games. So I'm really glad that they kind of went back to this traditional style, because mining in these games has always been super fun for me. It's kind of rewarding to like see how far down you can get with the and how many resources you can gather. Yeah, I believe this little mole here as well is kind of new to the game too. I love his little mohawk. It's so funny. Let's go strike him right in the head. Sorry, mister. Give me that potentially rare object that I need for the museum, you thief. Oh shoot, I left the mine. Oh well. Oh my gosh, it's 1 a.m. already too. So I'm just gonna eat my shellfish soup for fun, just to show you. It gave me a few hearts back, and then it looks like it almost beefed up my hearts too. It made them, it might have like gave me better stamina too. I haven't messed around with that feature too much yet, but yeah, I've heard some things that you can kind of you can enhance your hearts for a limited time and sort of give them like a shield almost, if you will. And yeah, so I'm gonna throw some of these, the silver ore in here quick before I go back to bed. And because that's another cool thing too, is so when you go to bed, you can see, so to process silver ore, it takes 4 hours. When you go to sleep in the game, you always go to sleep for 8 hours. But you can throw things on into your makers, and then you can go to bed, and when you wake up, you'll have tons of resources just waiting for you. It's great. So I always try to make sure that I throw as many things into my makers as I can before I go to bed. Oh yeah, so since I woke up at 10 a.m., Koji is not sleeping here anymore. He's just already outside, just making the most of the day. And so the last thing I want to show you now are sprites. So you may remember sprites from the series in the past. They kind of looked like little elf creatures. They've changed them up this time in this game, and now there are earth sprites. So if we talk to this little Navi sprite, like a navigator, I'm assuming is what it stands for, it can take you to different portions, different villages essentially, that where sprites live. And basically as you play the game, you unlock more of them. And I don't want to show you all of them because I want to, save some of the surprises. But we'll show you the Earth Sprite Village at least. So the cool thing with this is you can see there's like all these little sprites just like roaming around here. When you remember how I mentioned there's like a little pink sprite that I like dug up out of the ground, or like I hit a rock or something and it came out. Basically, as you play the game, you'll uncover sprites all over. And I don't think they're necessarily in particular areas. They just come from playing the game. And you can talk to this sprite here, the manager sprite, and they will actually allow you to kind of like make your sprites do different jobs for you. So I can make some of my sprites log sprites, and they will, I can feed 100 of them into there, and they will basically make me logs, is how that works. You can make stone sprites and grass sprites too. I'm gonna do some stone sprites just to see if we get, I'm not sure what kind of stones we'll get. If it's just a regular stone, it might be. I'm not sure if they're higher quality than that. But yeah, basically I believe the more you put in there, the more sprites, or the more stuff you'll get. And so we can actually talk to some of these sprites here, like the grass sprite, and they gave us 6 grass for talking to them. The stone sprite gave us, oh yeah, 4 iron ore. That's cool. So it wasn't just rocks. That's nice. And then if we talk to the log one, look at how many workers they have there. That's insane. The log sprite gave us, cool, a solid log, some regular logs, and some sap. And yeah, so in this village, there's like a little like camp area. It's kind of cute, and they have some animals. And then there's this like guardian sprite as well, boss sprite. See, there's actually a shop here where you're like, if you need something like last minute and you can't find it in your town, or the grocery store is shut, you can come here and you can buy some of this stuff. So it's kind of just like a last minute emergency thing. I'm not going to show you the lava caves, but we'll go to the beanstalk island as well. And because yeah, so this basically like just grows up in your backyard at some point, and you can come here and you can play mini games with the sprites. So this is basically like a digging mini game. It's kind of like a memorization game, where you don't want to dig up the little beans that are there, so you just need to remember where they are, and you'll be good to go. So I'm really bad at this game. I think I have this one under control, but as it gets, as the rounds go on, the game gets harder, and like the area that you actually have to dig in gets bigger, and it's, oh, wow, how did I do that? Really? Oh my gosh! See, it's probably because I'm talking now. I'm like can't even. Yep, that's one too. Yep, and then all my time's gone. Oh, cool. It doesn't just stop me there, though. Okay. Man, I'm going to do really bad this time. It's really hard to talk and remember this stuff, apparently. Okay, so what I usually like to do is I try to, like, carve out a path. Or not like a path, but I try to, like, single out the ones that I know. So, like, now I know, like, all of these ones down here I think are beans. And so I'm going to dig everything else around it, basically. I think these might be beans, too. This one I don't think is. Okay, good. So yeah, and basically whenever you hit something that isn't a sprite, you lose points on your time as well. And you can see in the corner too, it shows how many sprites are left, which is usually like that's usually helpful. So now I have 2 left. We'll do this one. And that was not it. And then for finishing up, you actually get Sprite coins, and you can take those Sprite coins and you can spend those in the village store as well with the boss sprite to get the different items as well. You don't spend your actual money, you just spend the coins. But then I also one time was playing this game and I did well enough that I got a 2 heart upgrade. You can actually see in the top left corner, I don't just have 10 hearts, I have 12 now. So it seems like you will get other things from playing these mini games. And then if you walk down here, I noticed there's like a little bridge here that's closed off too, like a rainbow bridge. So I'm curious if, as I play the game, if that's going to eventually like unlock into something else. Maybe not. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but it looks cool regardless. I hope something comes of it. But I still, you know, I'm only in summer of the first year in this game. I still have so much more to find out. And the cool thing too is, like I said, I've put 25 hours into this game already, and I'm only this far. Like if you're the kind of person that loves these kind of like simulators or just a relaxing game that you can go home and not really have to stress anything about, this is definitely a great game for that. And you know, you can put tons of hours into this game. We didn't even get to talk about any marriage candidates or, you know, having kids or anything like that, which, you know, I haven't come along very far with any feature like that. I think, yeah, some of Bridget and Lynn are like the 2 that I'm kind of like torn between right now. And I'm not very far along with either of them yet. So I haven't, like eventually you can get married in the game, but I don't know what any of that's like. So I'm curious to keep playing and find out more of this stuff. But I've probably blabbed on enough about this game. Feel free to let us know in the comments down below if you've been looking forward to getting your hands on Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olivetown, and let us know if you learned something new about the game as well. Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olivetown releases on Nintendo Switch on March 23rd in the US and March 26th in Europe. And be sure to let us know down below if you're planning on picking a copy up. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to Marvelous for sponsoring this video. I've had a great time with Story of Seasons so far, and I'm excited to keep playing more. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Zian from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.